My name is David Lids, and I am founder and CEO of StreetWell. StreetWell is developing a lasting, disruptive model to end generational poverty through the cooperative ownership of real estate. That is, StreetWell's mission is to, in the short term, provide employment and housing opportunities for marginalized populations, which lead to long-term wealth-building trajectories for both individuals and communities. To achieve its mission, StreetWell is building an impact real estate portfolio, or IREP, in Baltimore and Hagerstown, Maryland. The IREP is much like a traditional real estate investment trust or real estate holding company in structure, but much different and new in that the IREP acquires, renovates, and rents out assets exclusively in America's redlined or rusted out neighborhoods. Also, what is new and different and compelling about StreetWell's impact real estate portfolio model is, with it, StreetWell invites the workers who are rebuilding, managing, and maintaining the properties, the tenants who lease IREP homes, and other community stakeholders into governance and ownership of the portfolio via distribution of IREP shares. It's a big vision. You're probably wondering what makes us think we can do it. StreetWell is the idea to scale a social enterprise we have built over the last decade. A social enterprise which provides management and construction services to Maryland's distressed real estate sector and which also houses and employs individuals recovering from addiction and incarceration. We like to say we rebuild distressed souls through the work of rebuilding distressed housing. With that model, we are now employing 35 and housing 45 re-entering or recovering citizens every year. So since 2015, that means we have now helped well over 300 men and women. With each renovation project we take on, we generate 7 to 8 jobs, ranging from entry-level work like cleanouts and grass cuts on up to high-skilled occupations like drywalling, plumbing, and roofing. Really cool, though, for our purposes today, as I mentioned, StreetWell's vision is a cooperative ownership or equity model, and we have piloted that too. We just this year converted our construction company into an employee-owned cooperative, and that cooperative itself now owns 3 Baltimore row homes that it has renovated, created equity in, and is now leasing out for revenue. Even cooler still, we have also been building for years now our own tech platform, a mobile app that allows us to drive, measure, and stitch together our double bottom lines of performance and impact. So a little background about me and how we got to this place. I am sort of an accidental social entrepreneur, which I got to by way of the fact that I am also a drunk. In 2002, I spiraled down to a really low alcoholic bottom, which finally landed me in rehab, where I learned that the best way for me to maintain a sober, fulfilling life was to stay connected and to live in service to my community. And that is an ethic and a plan for living I have stayed impassioned about ever since. In my first year of sobriety, I found work with a contractor who managed and maintained distressed real estate assets for national and regional mortgage lenders and servicers. This is a dark little corner of the real estate finance industry known as mortgage field services or REO servicing, or more euphemistically, property preservation. In 2002, though, all I knew was that it was a great reentry opportunity because no one cared that I had just gotten out of rehab, and the entry costs and required skill sets were pretty low. I started off by doing simple tasks like rekeys, trash outs, and grass cuts. Over the years, I learned how to manage more sophisticated construction work like winterizations and demolitions, right on up to projects like kitchen and bathroom remodels, and then even onto complete renovations. In 2002, I founded a for-profit contracting firm, Appalachian Field Services, or AFS, and as AFS expanded, I offered jobs to folks just coming out of rehabs and jails. During those years, I also opened up our first sober home, and in 2015, I founded Ladders to Leaders, a 501c3 that provides housing, job readiness programming, and case management to folks recovering from addiction or incarceration. The partnership of these two organizations formed a pretty powerful social enterprise long before I had ever heard that term. Folks trying to rebuild their lives come to Ladders to Leaders for safe, structured housing, and then once their hands stop shaking, we ease them back into the economy with jobs at AFS. StreetWell, of course, is the idea that we can scale this model in a powerful way. The vision that we can change our lives, our neighborhoods, and the way America thinks about and does real estate finance if we, the workers, residents, and community members, own the properties and neighborhoods we are fixing up and living in, rather than working for or renting from extractive corporations and investors. When you're in the REO business, you see the negligence, exclusion, exploitation, and predation that has occurred in America's marginalized communities for generations now. You see how in America's big cities, redlining has never really stopped. You see how the rusting out and despair of rural America is regarded as a slightly inconvenient symptom of creative destruction. You also learn the terms that unashamedly connote the extraction that drives this sector. Terms like fix and flip and hard money lenders, bird dogs and bandit signs and board-up blocks, distressed note pools and daisy chaining. Do a little research and you learn there are tens of millions of distressed assets, board-ups and bandos, to use the language of the streets, all across the land, further dragging down the communities America has left behind, or that America never really let in the first place. Let's look at the unit economics and cast of characters that come with that fix and flip model. Like the bird dog. A bird dog posts bandit signs, sends postcards, and cold calls searching for a homeowner who is desperate for cash. In the neighborhoods we work in, the bird dog is likely to offer between $5,000 to $15,000 for that property. The bird dog gets a contract on the property, marks it up, often for tens of thousands of dollars, and then assigns the contract to a flipper. The flipper finances the purchase through a private money lender who offers hard money loans at anywhere from 8 to 15%, always with points on top. The flipper will then aim for their own 20% out of the deal. In order to hit that mark, the flipper often skimps on construction and worker wages and safety. And when that sale finally happens, another $13,000 in commissions and closing costs will get ripped out of the community. Oh, and needless to say, the flipper literally never pencils sustainable construction practices into the project plan. In Baltimore's Park Circle neighborhood, the extractive players in this scheme would have stripped $64,000, just under half of that asset's equity, right out of the community. The good news for us at StreetWell, this model, as awful as it is, has prevailed upon the streets for decades, which means two things. One, it is a viable business model, but moreover, two, it is a viable business model that with only modest redesign of its basic tenets can create real economic democracy in places where exploitation has long been the rule. StreetWell achieves this shift by eliminating the extractive middle actors and securing catalytic financing. So, for example, in the Baltimore fix and flip unit economics model, StreetWell will redirect that $64,000, that 43% of stripped equity, into flipping for good, by which we mean delivering good jobs and career tracks, affordable rents, distribution of IREP shares to workers, tenants, and community activists, housing and financial literacy programs, support for neighborhood coalitions, and return on investment for partnering investors like yourselves. Let's look at the business model. First, StreetWell uses low-interest loans to acquire and renovate 30% of properties in targeted distressed communities. Next, StreetWell works to create inclusive community equity and governance structures. Right now, we are pursuing two tracks to invite in neighborhood voices, one from a community design and development perspective, the other from the public health viewpoint. Next, StreetWell partners with cooperative and social enterprise construction companies who help us deliver higher worker wages and trainings, and through whom we distribute IREP shares to workers. Finally, 3 to 5 years out, when the portfolio holds 100 to 200 performing assets, performs at a 5 to 6% cap rate, and generates impressive verifiable impact, StreetWell will refi it with institutional impact investors and transfer the assets over to the IREP. Let's talk about how StreetWell delivers IREP equity to residents, workers, and communities. IREP will distribute shares based on a variety of participant inputs, such as joining the cooperative, paying rent, insurance, and utilities, working on IREP properties, completing classes and programs such as financial literacy, home maintenance, and occupational trainings, participating in neighborhood governance and improvement activities, and other forms of civic engagement such as advocacy and volunteering at local schools. StreetWell is currently pursuing a $3 million debt raise. That sum will provide us with an 18-month runway to purchase, renovate, and then rent 12 properties in Baltimore and 8 in Hagerstown, Maryland. $2.5 million of that raise will be used to fund the purchase and renovation of 20 properties. That is, each asset costs about $125,000 to purchase and renovate, is worth $150,000 after renovation, and generates market rents of $17,000 annually. We're offering 3 to 5 year terms, after which time we will refi into a long-term note with an institutional impact investor. So there we are, Team StreetWell. Hope you will give us a shout. Well, give us a shout, and then give us a shot. In either case, in the meantime, I thank you for your time and interest.